Hey Bikeaholics, Ryan Urlacher here, lawabidingbiker.com. Thanks for checking in. I'm sitting in front of a 2015 Bonneville Triumph T100. All right, and for reference, guys, we're doing obviously without a lift. You can do this right on the kickstand, this oil change on this Bonneville Triumph T100. We're gonna move, for reference, we're just gonna move down the right side or left side of the bike here. And you can see Big Daddy's setup down there. This will give you a good reference where to find your oil drain plug. All right, and he's gonna point to it, and it's a 13 millimeter. He's gonna start wrenching on that. He's just got a 13 millimeter socket, and he's got his oil pan underneath. It's a shallow oil pan. It's actually a Harley-Davidson. We like those because they're nice and shallow. We don't buy everything Harley-Davidson, but they seem to work out well. We use them on all our Harley-Davidson oil changes. Once he gets that backed out, of course, the bike is hot. We got the engine all hot, so the oil comes out real easy. All right, and there you go. All right, guys, so this is a brand new Bonneville Triumph, and so at 500, we're doing a break-in service. They want a break-in service at 500. There's no difference between the break-in service and any other lifelong service later, really. They just want it done early as things break in. Then after that, this bike calls for every 6,000 miles, so 6,000, 12,000, and so on. Every 6,000, you'll do a basic oil change and maintenance on this Triumph. Okay, and for reference, we're going up the right side of the bike. Up underneath the right side, we're looking for the oil filter, guys. And he's pointing to it right here. I'll get you a shot. And there you go. That is your oil filter. And of course, Triumph makes specific oil filter wrenches for that if you want. There's aftermarket ones too, but we're going to start working on getting that backed out. All right, and you got that filter free with a wrench. Some of the aftermarket we're going to show you, we got a K&N replacement filter. It actually has a nut welded into the bottom of it, so it makes it super easy to get backed off. So that's another option if you don't want to buy a special wrench, just replace it with an aftermarket with a nut welded, and we will show you that. And there we go, and now the filter, of course, is loose. And you can still see it's draining a little bit, so we're going to let this drain a little bit more. All right, and briefly, guys, this is what we're talking about. In his right hand, there is a filter wrench. Those are the special filter wrenches you can get for the different filters. This is an aftermarket K&N filter, and you can see it has that nut welded into the bottom of it right there, because then you can just put a wrench on it to get it off. So anyways, those are your options when you're replacing your filter. All right, so the other thing you want to do is we're going to find the oil filler cap. This is where your fill. We're taking it off because we want basically the debris that'll help your oil drain. But if you look at the top of this, it's just got like a flathead. This is factory for the Triumph. They do make aftermarket ones, or you can buy from Triumph with a thumb thing. This is kind of just a flathead. You can put a quarter in it or a big flathead screwdriver. You can certainly replace that to make it easier with a thumb one. But we're just opening that up for now and make sure everything drains out. Get a little air in there. Okay, and so when it comes to oil, we're going to put AMSOIL full synthetic 1040 back in this bike, you can see. We like the AMSOIL products, and we use all that in our Harley-Davidsons too. Full synthetic. You could also, for this year of Bonneville Triumph, you could use, they also say you can use 1540. And you can use semi-synthetic or full synthetic is what the specifications call for. But again, we're using 1040 full AMSOIL synthetic. So we're doing this video, of course, cranking out the videos here for you guys here at Law Abiding Biker Media. We're trying, we're fairly Harley centric because that's what we get our hands on a lot. But Big Daddy bought this Triumph, and so we're going to be doing quite a few videos on this. And don't forget, if you want to do a full service on your Harley-Davidson motorcycle, we have that very popular video over there. Whether it's a Dyna or a Touring or a Softail, we got you covered. lawabidingbiker.com/2014 Harley maintenance will get you directly to that video. Help support us, guys, so we can keep cranking these videos out to you. Quick couple notes, guys. So metric bike, of course. And so when we're draining that oil plug that you guys saw earlier, that's draining everything. It's draining the, you know, the engine and the transmission and everything all in one plug. And so it makes it pretty easy. And they're calling for, if you're going to do the filter and you're going to drain all the oil out of everything, to replace it, it's calling for 1 gallon, which is what we have right there. If you're just going to do the oil and you're not going to replace the oil filter, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but you could, then it calls for 0.87 gallons. Again, make sure you look up in your owner's manual your specific year and model to make sure you're putting the right capacities back in. But that's what we're doing for this one. Okay, so that's the drain plug we're going to put back in now. You see on the end of that, there's a little metal washer, guys. They say that they want you to replace that every time. That's up to you. We're going to use the same one right now. So he's going to put that back in the drain hole there, get it finger started. And with his socket there is 13 millimeters, just makes it a little quicker. He's getting the rest of it finger started. Hand started, I should say. Once he gets tight, he'll put his ratchet up in there. All right, now he's starting to tighten this down. And if you're a torque wrench kind of guy, it calls for 18 foot-pounds if you want to get your torque wrench out. We're fairly comfortable. We're going to get it tight in about another quarter, half turn, and we're going to call it good. But you decide if you want to use a torque wrench. All right, you see that Law Abiding Biker t-shirt Big Daddy's wearing there? lawabidingbiker.com/store will get you hooked up with one, guys. And you'll be the talk of the town wearing that bad boy. All right, he's got the aftermarket K&N filter there, and he just dumped filled it halfway basically with synthetic, and then he rubbed a little around the ring there, a little oil with his finger around the ring, and now he can grab that and put it back up in there. He's going to get it hand started. All right, and normally on most bikes, guys, we do not ever use a wrench to get an oil filter on because you'll just over tighten it. It'll seize up and you will have a bitch of a time getting it off. In this case, it's just hard for him to get his hand up in there. And that's what's nice about this K&N aftermarket. It has that nut, but it's not tight, as you can see. He's just using the wrench because it's easier than getting his hand up there. But be very careful. They're calling for 7 foot-pounds if you want to get a torque wrench on this oil filter and get it exact. We're comfortable with it. He's just doing it tight, and maybe, you know, another half turn. You kind of have to feel it, but certainly get your torque wrench if you're concerned about that. But do not over-tighten it. They will seal up fine. All right, and at my place, we have a motorcycle lift. We're down at BD Canes, and he doesn't. So you can certainly do it right on the kickstand like we're doing. And we just used a board to get the bike a little more level so you make sure that it drains it out. Just put a board under your kickstand. All right, and now we've got the plugs in, the filters in, of course. And Big Daddy is just filling to capacity. And he's just got a nice tall funnel there. Use whatever you want, but he can stand up and fill the bike this way. Makes it a little easier. All right, and now he's got up to capacity, of course, and he's putting back in the oil filler plug there. All right, guys, and as you can see, we have the sexiest, sleekest, strongest cell phone motorcycle mount on the market mounted to this bike. It's the Biker Gripper, of course, available exclusively in the Law Abiding Biker store. lawabidingbiker.com/store. Get hooked up. Super strong. Hold your cell phone up there. This is the control mount version. Replaces your pinch bolts right there. Super sleek. This is the black and chrome. We've got all black. We've got chrome. We also have universal mounts that'll just go around your handlebars instead. But anyways, check it out, guys. You will be very satisfied selling those things like crazy. The Biker Gripper. All right, we're just going to check the brake pads real quick. We're just going to show you how, of course, these are good because the bike's brand new. But when you're doing your oil changes, it's good to check your brake pads. And so we're going to go right up underneath here, and we're going to show you what to look for. All right, we're looking up between the forks and the caliper, of course, and you're looking for your brake pads in there. And he's pointing at it with that Phillips screwdriver. And you see those little lines in there, guys? That's your actual brake pad. And those go, you know, obviously all the way through. And when you see those lines disappear, that means your pad's getting very thin and it's time to replace it. So that's what you're looking for. Just make sure it looks good and that you can see those lines still. All right, these clutch cables are pretty easy to adjust. You see right there, it's just got a little nut there that you can back off, and then you can grab some pliers and put it on that other piece right there. Yeah. And you can turn that in or out to make your clutch looser or tighter and kind of where you want it to engage. So very easy, just like a bicycle up here. All right, don't forget there's also just you know, if you have short hands and you don't want to reach as far, there's just typical on metric bikes are these little dials. and you can have your clutch handle in or out farther, so you don't necessarily have to reach for it so far. So don't forget about that little adjustment. All right, and just a further tip on this, guys. If you can achieve your adjustment up here at the clutch lever, if you're like, I just can't get enough adjustment up here to where I like it, that's when you would go ahead and move down and you would adjust it here. This is an adjuster, basically a set nut and a set nut, and this just goes free back and forth, and you can see you can move it out and it's going to tighten this cable, and you can move it in, it's going to loosen it, and then you just slide it in and out and then set your nuts on both sides, and that will keep it where you want it. That's how you adjust this in. Hopefully you're enjoying the video. If you want to make sure that content and these free videos keep coming your way, there is a way you can support us. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/Patreon, Patreon. The community is growing over there. We'd like to have you involved too. There's no risk over there. You can sign up for a certain level and pay a certain amount per piece of content with a cap. Absolutely no risk. There are some benefits over there. T-shirts and a private Facebook group and some premium content. All depends on what level you sign up as. But that is a way that you can assure the content keeps coming your way. lawabidingbiker.com/Patreon, Patreon. Of course, if you ever want to just leave a flat donation, we do accept that too and appreciate it. lawabidingbiker.com/donate. Don't forget to check out that weekly podcast, guys. It's on fire. A ton of content we're putting out. Get involved over there. It's the Law Abiding Biker Podcast. All right, let's get back into your video. Don't forget, guys, we checked the front brakes, but obviously the back is exactly the same. You've got your caliper, though. You'll have to look up inside there and look for those lines and make sure you have plenty of pad. Same as the front. As you're doing your safety inspection, you want to make sure and check your nuts, make sure everything looks tight. Pretty obvious stuff. A lot of what dealerships do are visual inspections. They're not getting a torque wrench out and making sure every little bolt is torqued. It's not happening, guys. I'm just telling you. So you'll want to look through, make sure if you have any, anything that looks like it might be loose or anything like that, you'll want to get on it, of course. Just go around the bike, check your cables, all that kind of stuff. Make sure that, your cables are moving freely, your throttle and all that. There's lots of different adjustments, just like the clutch one we just showed you. And make sure everything's working properly and to your liking. So what we're doing now is we're going to do a little chain maintenance and lubricate the chain. You got to run the wheel around so you can lubricate the whole chain. You could just push it across your garage floor if you don't have, a lift jack or a table. Don't forget, guys, we are a Titan, official Titan lift distributor. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/store. We'd love to get you hooked up with one. In a lot of videos, you see my Titan lift table that we use. And down here at BD Canes, we're just using a lift jack. We have lift jacks and lift tables, everything Titan over there, guys, lawabidingbiker.com/store. And we would love to get hooked up and communicate with you and see if we can get one shipped to you. Make your life a lot easier. But we're just getting this up with a lift jack a little bit so we can work on this rear tire, or this chain. And for this lube, they say about every 200 miles you should lube your chain, or if you're riding in dusty or wet environments more often, or if it looks dry. We're using AMSOIL chain lube for on and off-road motorcycles. All right, and so now he's just looking over the chain. He's just got a paper towel. He's just kind of cleaning off any grit or debris. Now on this chain, guys, every chain's different, so to speak, on different bikes, but look in your manual. It will tell you how much play you're supposed to have in that chain, and you basically just reach up and you can push on it. You can put a tape measure, find about the center of the chain. This is a real garage way to do this, guys. And you could do a tape measure off level ground with the bike level, and then you could see how much play, how many, parts of an inch or an inch, whatever your specifications are. But we're not going to get into a chain maintenance video. That's pretty much it. Just look at what your specifications and then use a tape measure. There's also weights you can get, and you can dangle it on the chain. I mean, you could get really technical, but I venture to say the dealerships are just not doing that. They're just reaching up, and after you get comfortable with it, just like Harley belts, same with chains, by feel how much tension they should have in it. So he's kind of cleaned that. He's just putting this spray on it now. And you're just going around. And if your chain was loose or too tight, there are adjusters. And you can see he's just going around and spraying this chain right now. But you'll see he'll point at that adjuster for you on both sides. You would loosen the axle nut, and then those are your adjusters, where you can back it in and back it out. You can see the adjustment there, and that's how you tighten and loosen your chain after you of course, loosen the axle nut. And we'll move around to the other side. Of course, you've got the same thing on that side. The adjuster, you would loosen the axle nut, and then there's your adjuster in and out on how tight. You got to do both sides the same, of course. You wouldn't want to just reef on one and not the other. You want the wheel to come back straight and be aligned, so be aware of that. And he's just still working on his chain here, giving that a nice coat. And again, if you don't have a lift jack, we suggest getting one, of course. Makes it easier, but you could just roll it across the garage floor and do this. All right, and he's just cleaning up some of the excess, grit and grime and stuff. Now, the reason we use that AMSOIL instead of regular chain lube, we like the AMSOIL because it's supposed to be no fling. And so it's supposed to really adhere to and stick. And you guys all know when you use that regular chain lube, it gets all over your back wheel and flings all over. Well, this AMSOIL does a really good job of the no fling, so that's why we chose that. Plus, we just like AMSOIL products. All right, and now, of course, we've got oil back in the bike, and so he's going to go ahead and fire the bike up. We're going to let it run for about 3 minutes. All right, and Big Daddy's sitting on the bike, so it's nice and level, and we shut the bike off, let it sit for a couple minutes, and we're going to move on down to the inspection window, and you see it right in there. And on the side, on the case, there are 2 lines over there, and those lines basically tell you it should be in between those 2 lines. As you can see, it is. So we're good to go on the level check of the oil. All right, and don't forget to check your tire pressure. Make sure it's within specifications for your model. He's just using a Harley-Davidson. There's lots of different brands, but it's got the long hose on it so you can get in there real quick. So he's going to check his tire pressure, and then don't forget to check your tread depth. You'll have to check your bike and where that's supposed to be, but always double check your tires, nails, screws, things like that, and your pressure. And he's actually got a on the top of that, he's got a tire pressure tread depth. That's the little metal thing coming out the top there, so kind of a handy little tool. All right, and with a flathead screwdriver, he's taking off this side panel. Pretty simple. The reason is we got to check the rear brake fluid reservoir, and it's behind there. All right, and you get that one bolt out there, and then this plastic cover pops right off for you. There's actually 2 buttons up top there that they're not buttons, but they actually go into the studs there and hold the top portion on. And there's your brake reservoir. And we just make sure, look at it, says lower and upper. And so that makes it pretty simple. Make sure it's in between and bike level. Also, since we're in here, we'll show you, of course, the rear brake reservoir there, and then over here he's pointing at, that's where your fuse box is, guys, on these Triumph Bonnevilles if you need to access that. All right, and with the bike level, he's sitting on it. Of course, your front brake fluid reservoir, .4 is what you use. You just take off the top, 2 little screws on top there, and you can fill it. The window basically should be full with the fluid when you check it, and over on the side there is it says lower. I don't know how well you can see it, and there's a line. If you were too low, you wouldn't want to be below that, but just look at your inspection window, make sure it's filled. All right, guys, and that is a complete service. He went out and rode it. We did really good with the no fling on the chain, and that is a complete service and safety inspection. The same thing your dealership is going to do. Save yourself a ton of money and have the satisfaction of working on your own Triumph motorcycle, guys. Don't forget the YouTube channel and to subscribe. We have a ton of free content in the works for you guys, of course. And don't forget the Law Abiding Biker store. Look at this. Big Daddy's running. We got biker grippers ready and t-shirts, all different models of biker grippers. He's got mugs over there. He's got Law Abiding Biker patches, and everything ships right from here, guys. So lawabidingbiker.com/store. Check out the stuff. Headsets too, guys. Ready to go there. Let's try this Bonneville T100 out. All right, and he's going to lead the way. So of course on this, guys, it's a peppy little bike. Of course, I'm used to riding. I mean, I ride everything when I get a chance, anything I can get my hands on, but I'll tell you what, this is a fun little bike. And I'll talk about this thing a little bit more as we go along here. So I'm in 5th gear, Doing about 50. We can really lean it over. We can stay in a wheel track real nice, no problem. Bump the rear and see what we can do. I'm doing about 50. We'll see if we can get stopped here before that sign. So I locked, yeah. If you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, you are really missing out. We have a ton of videos in the works for you guys, so get subscribed. Also sign up for the free email club, lawabidingbiker.com/email club. We will shoot you an email when we come out with new free videos. Also, do not forget to check out that weekly podcast. It's the Law Abiding Biker Podcast. It's heard worldwide. All right, peace out.